Welcome back to another Reading and Correcting with me, Kindar, the Tiger Writes, and Ty, the Tiger Supervisor. These are where I read a chapter from one of my stories and correct it as I go. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube. And if you are looking to support me, that is on my Patreon. Today we are doing chapter 55 of The Technician's Fight. Gralgiran looked over the people seated at the meeting table. The only one he wasn't used to seeing there was his heart. What caused the problem? He asked the supervisor. He had the reports, but he wanted their version first, to smell the air, as they explained, see if something there would sway his evaluation of their performance. As the technician reported, the cause was a defective power controller that didn't cut the power when one of the printers faltered and pulled in more power than it normally used. The relay in the printer failed because it overloaded, but by then the controller had overheated beyond its capacity and ignited. He looked at Jer. Technician, what was the cause of your presence in the repair bay? Personal project, Captain. I was off shift and had obtained permission to use one of their printers for a part too large for the private printers. Was it the printer that faulted? No, Captain. He looked around. The printer that faulted was printing heat sinks component that had been requested by maintenance for one of the shuttles, the manager answered. How did you become aware of the fault, technician? Jeremy looked around, blew up? There was an explosion of sparks, probably as the part heated and overcame their insulation capacities. He closed his mouth on the rest, and Gralgiran returned to the repair manager. Why did the printer fault? That hasn't been determined yet. She answered, the damage is making it difficult to pinpoint why it failed. Theories? It's one of the older models, so age is a factor. Shouldn't a potential fault of that magnitude show up when the unit was checked? He brought up the schedule. It's filed as having been done 4 months ago. Yes, Captain. The odds of something that could cause this going... The odds of something that could cause this going unnoticed during a scheduled check are low, but all the printers have been high. I've seen high demand since the battle at the Earther station. The extra strain on the components could have taken something that didn't register 4 months ago and made it a catastrophic failure possibility. She nodded. He nodded. Recommendations. Shorten the time between checks of the older machines, either not include them when having high demand or pause them for extra checks, or invest in ensuring none of the machines are kept past a specific age. Get with maintenance. I want an impact studies on the 3 options. For replacing the machines, get with the quartermaster to tabulate prices on buying new ones and what we can get for the used models. The supervisor and manager nodded, making notes on their tablets. Technicians, you requested power be shut down. Explain your decision. My printer was the closest to the wall and I felt the heat. The engineer has had me get familiar with power conduit throughout the ship, so I knew no amount of power pull should have resulted in that. Opening the wall showed me the fire. I apologize for the engineer for overstepping my rank, Captain. We had a discussion, the engineer said. It will not happen again. Gralgiran nodded. Continue. Once the power was cut, the fire should have diminished as the overload was behind it and nothing within it should be able to maintain combustion. But if the insulation material is exposed to temperature higher than 2000 degrees Celsius, it breaks down, relaxing pentane, which fueled the fire. When I requested the room be sealed and the oxy... did he request that the oxy be removed? Uh, bu- 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 bum. Okay, he did not request, so that is not a mistake he would make while giving a report. That's when I request the room be evacuated and sealed. Maintenance. Removed the oxy. And without that, the fire couldn't continue. So that's no longer needed. That's going to be moved. Wait, what? Oh, you've put that back in there. Once we confirm the fire had been starved, that's where as I said. Once we confirmed the fire had been starved, the supervisor said, and that the technician had the required skill, he was allowed to return. Instead of waiting for my people to arrive, I followed protocol Jer took up. Once I'd gathered the tools and protective equipment, I exposed the entirety of the damage area and proceeded to remove the damaged components, setting them aside for examination. Gralgiran looked at the supervisor, who was consulting her tablet. The faulty controller was traced to a batch printed 2 years ago. 2 years, 7 months, and 8 days ago. We are in the process of exchanging all those still installed from that batch, but none we've tested at this point have shown flaws that could have led to a similar situation. Shouldn't prints be tested before being installed? 2 years, 7 months, and 12 days ago was the start of the refit, Captain. The volume of parts we were printing made testing each of them impractical. As is procedure during those cases, random tests are conducted under the premise that if there is a flaw, it will be within an entire batch, which doesn't seem to be the case. Yes, Captain. The method isn't without its own flaws. Recommendation. I'm unsure what changes can be made, Captain. Short of returning to Kelser for the refit to take place at the shipyard, we have to use less than perfect processes. So swallow my pride and let the military do what they want with my ship. I'd never suggest that, Captain. But if I don't, I run the risk of something like this happening again. The risk is there even if the refit is performed at the shipyard, if possibly slightly lower. Perfect components, 100% of the time, is an impossibility even with printing. Gralgiran recognized Jer's desire to speak. You have something to add, technician? I don't know if it's going to mean much, but Earthers have perfected making prints as much as it's possible to do, and even they don't get more than a 99.9 a dozen time over accuracy. It's almost perfect until there's a need to print something on the scale of making a ship. It's an accepted fact of large-scale production that defective prints will be shipped. That seems like an odd piece of knowledge for you to have, Jer chuckled. Some of the components I get from my reactors were part of print orders in the billions of units. In the billion of units, they are so standard. Okay. That needs to be that. This is kind of where my French slips in phrase structure like that. Les composantes pour mon réacteur sont partis de. No, not even then. That's interesting. Okay, so some of the components for my reactors are so standard. They were part of print orders in the billion of units. We are taught to never install a part without first running it through all the stress tests we think we can think of. It doesn't matter all that much when the print that failed causes a drink printer to fault. But when it's an antimatter reactor, the fault can take part of a city with it, or a station in my case. I just mean that you shouldn't feel too bad about one component failing like it did. I appreciate the sentiment, technician. But just like you have to think of what can happen if your reactor fails, I have to think of the lives that can be lost when a fault happens. If you hadn't been there, there's no telling what the delay in identifying the problem could have caused. He looked at a mail. Manager, what is being changed to ensure a situation like this doesn't happen again? My understanding is that even under optimal condition, your printers draw a large amount of power. We're redesigning the printer bay to give each printer its own controller set at a value below its maximum draw. Won't that interfere with large prints? We'll have a manual bypass in place that requires constant attention. We don't get those kind of prints often enough. It'll get in the way of regular work. Gralgiran nodded. All right. As far as I can tell, everyone is agreed that this is an unfortunate accident, and you are taking steps to limit the odds of it happening again. I'll thank the gods for meddling as they did and end this meeting. Engineer, technician, if you can stay behind. What arrangement did you reach? Okay. What arrangement did you reach, Alex? He asked once it was only the only three of them. That's not really any of your business. It isn't the first time Jer went outside of rank. His beta assured me it wouldn't happen again, and yet. Alex nodded, but didn't reply immediately. You give the technician the credit he's due in this case. Technicians, that's going to be plural. Technicians are always contacting each other while they're bored. Everything responds to everything else. I expect that any of them, in the situation he found himself, would have done what he did. And you would have chastised them. And you wouldn't have cared how. Gralgiran nodded, and he had to consider where his concern came from. He hadn't worked out if what had happened during the hunt was actually why he was concerned when Jer looked at him. Go ahead. Okay, actually, you know what? This needs to be reworked. Okay, so by the time Jer looked at him, it's going to be still hadn't worked out if what had happened during the hunt was why. I don't need the actually. Was why he was concerned. Go ahead. I don't know if how I feel matters, but I'm okay with the engineer telling you. He's right. I didn't even think to contact him. And you have apologized, Alex said, annoyed. And I have enacted safeguards to ensure it doesn't happen again. And I'm okay with you telling the captain, if you want, Jer added. If I want, Alex replied, ears canted in restrained anger. You enacting like you're giving me a choice? That art of yours is a halan for the ways he'll say what he wants and then claim it's my choice. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Oh, stop it. Alex said, you're just like your heart that way. You should hear some of the ways he's given me the choice. You know what? That's going to be idolize. To let those Tuthikamongartin lovers of military technician touch my reactor the last time he let the leadership talk him into returning to Kelser for repairs. I don't remember you saying all that much, Gralgiran said, grinning. Your body was talking loud enough, fucking me while whispering, that this might be the last time, but hey, it was my choice if I let them sully my work. You'd have stopped having sex with him? Jer asked, surprised. We'll never know, Gralgiran grinned, and he made me pay for it. A year, was it, before you let me into your bed again? 1 year, 3 months, 7 days, and the only reason I did is because none of my friends were available that day. Someone was meddling, he grumbled. So be careful how you piss him off. He will make you regret it. At this point, I need to establish who's speaking. Gralgiran stood. Meeting's over. Really? Just like that? Alex said, you've made your position clear, engineer. And Jer said it's your choice. Oh, I hate the two of you. I removed the access to the technician's comm from his tablet. He doesn't need it anyway since he works in my office. There. Happy? Gralgiran nodded. Thank you. Thank you, my ass, Alex said, heading for the door. You better be in my bed tonight and make this up to me. A year is going to seem like a second for how long it'll be until I let you in there again. I guess I'm going to be busy, he told Jer as they exited. I'll have Tom over. That way, if he kicks you out because you didn't please him, we'll be able to comfort you. Gralgiran rubbed his muzzle against Jer's cheek. I'll see you tomorrow then. Go, he said, cube of grilled spiced meat on a claw. We're getting a transmission, Captain. It's, odd. On my way. He leaned over the table and kissed Jer. Sorry, duty. You can take this with you. Things aren't bad enough, yet I have to eat on the move. He popped the meat in his mouth and licked his claw as he exited. Update, he said, stepping onto the bridge. This reads like a Earthian poem, the beta said, looking at the screen over the comm hunter's shoulder. 7 lines, 8 syllables each. Only it's meaningless. How likely is it transmission distortion could cause this? Highly unlikely. Alpha, the comm hunter said, sounding perplexed. The system returns a 46% probability it's Alan, but the known algorithm aren't giving me anything that makes sense. Send it to the quartermaster. He's our expert. Provenance. The screen showed the representation of their territory, with the bane in green and a dot flashing blue. Distance meant nothing on such a representation since they were flat. What's there? Relay Buyo. Buyo. The comm hunter answered, which means we won't be able to tell where it came from if it's really Alan. The beta said, Captain, the quartermaster is asking to speak to you. He put his earpiece in. Send him to me. Zenial Hair Talhalan. What can you tell me? My own bridge comm, Captain. No, I figured you'd want this between us. Thank you. The message is a set of coordinates with a message. Send the coordinates to the pilot. Tom nodded acknowledgement. What is the message? Just 2 words. It's worse. And that concludes Chapter 55 of The Technician's Fight. If you are enjoying this, please leave a like. If you want to know when the next chapter will be up, subscribe. Hit the bell. If you want to read this story, it is available on Ream Story. And if you are looking to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube. Links are in the notes, and with that, I shall wish you a good day.